straighten everything up.
Yep. Already aware that I'm sliding down the sofa.
Make yourself comfortable. I think
I can reach my coffee.
Exactly. Tea, coffee, that's all you need.
So we are live. Hello, everybody watching. My name is
Hello.
Steve. We are London Vegans, and I'm so excited to have our first live guests, Leo and Ivy.
Hi!
A year of vegan eats.
Yeah, I know. This has been a long time coming because we've spoken a lot on Twitter, but never in person.
I know, and you were here in London, and we missed the opportunity. Sadly, we were too busy to see you, but we got to you eventually.
Exactly. We'll be down again, hopefully, at some point when
maybe
this all
not the
ends.
moment. We can look forward to that though, can't we?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We made it down to London. We had this sneaky last minute trip, and it was a night bus as well of all the dodgy things to do. And we literally did it the weekend before lockdown.
Oh my God.
Which, looking back on it, doesn't seem like the smartest idea, but it was a quick in out before everything just turned to chaos.
Flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, totally. We even went to Rudy's. We went and had lunch at Rudy's because you absolutely love their pastrami sandwich. And a couple of days later, they shut. So
it's a really sad time, isn't it, for so many reasons? But how are you coping in lockdown? Because you've got your cup of tea there. It looks like you're quite.
Neither of us are on lockdown. Yeah. We're both key workers.
Yeah.
How
you finding that?
It's really interesting because we aren't on lockdown at all, but at the same time life isn't the same. So we're both still working, and if anything it's been even busier than normal. I work in the quick plug here. I work in the one and only 100% vegan grocery shop in Edinburgh.
Amazing.
And we're working really, really hard to keep it open. So there's been a couple of 40-hour weeks and crazy shifts going on there. And Leo is a nurse. So these guys don't get any kind of rest at all. But you can't be I'm just going to step this one out because you're a nurse.
Yeah. But it's one of these things though when people go, the nurses, and we have a cat in the background.
There we go.
He's turned up.
He has. Hi. To boff me in the face with his tail. It's one of these things that obviously I never got into nursing thinking, there's going to be a pandemic one day and that's totally when it's going to be me. Nursing was something I kind of fell into 15 odd years ago, and I really enjoy it. And yes, this is very weird and interesting times, but so far it's been okay-ish. It's been chaotic because they're just changing everything. The hospital is quieter than normal. One of my colleagues was in A&E in a non-professional manner because I think her boyfriend had cut himself or something like that. And it was a Friday night and it was dead. There was nobody there. And normally A&E on a Friday night is like a fairground.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? Because it's such a surreal time for everybody. But if you're a nurse, it's just the most incredibly stressful thing, isn't it? Because you've got so much to think about.
That's what's quite interesting in our setup, that we are both extremely lucky in this situation and really unlucky that we've got kind of both sides of it. We've got the food side and the medical side. So if anything happens, we're kind of sorted. I've always got access to food and you've always got, your medical knowledge. But at the same time, it means that both of us have kind of got this weird job situation at the moment.
Yeah.
You're very self-sufficient.
Yeah, exactly.
In a lot of ways. I mean, we've checked. We should mention actually your YouTube channel is A Year of Vegan Eats. We are big fans of your channel for so many reasons. I love it. And what I love about it is that it's not just the vegan thing, it's the travel thing, it's the creating food at home and making lots out of very little sometimes as well. Because if you haven't got a lot in the cupboard, you show how you can do it creatively and also it's really tasty food as well. I've tried a couple of your recipes. do a lot of it from scratch though, but by trial and error, or have you learnt from other people, or what's your way around
I've only just kind of recently realised how I am in the kitchen. I have not been professionally trained. I come from a mother who is the worst cook in the world. My mum is a terrible cook. She could burn water.
Is that what you're saying, or what she would say? I hope she's not watching.
I'd say this to her face. It's fine. But I learned to cook very young, so I didn't have to eat her cooking. And a lot of what I do is I just throw it in a pot until it's right. So I think cooking kind of skipped a generation in our family, because my granny is a pub cook, and I'm very similar in her approach of you just throw it in until it works. So there's not a huge amount of trial and error. It's just you just keep going until it's right.
Trial and success, maybe.
Yeah, just keep throwing stuff in it.
So you're in Edinburgh. How does it feel being there at the moment? Is it because I mean, wherever you are, I guess it's weird. It's like 28 days later, isn't it? It's like being on a film set of a zombie movie or something. It's just weird. There's no one around, and the mood is eerie. Because Edinburgh is such a beautiful place. I've never been there, but I'd love to go. Is it? Yeah. If only. I'd be right up there if I could. Is it better? Because London here, the air quality is so much better now, because obviously we haven't got that pollution.
I think not yet. While it is very, very quiet, Edinburgh is quite a quiet city to begin with. It's when we hit August, that is when it's going to be interesting, because the Edinburgh Festival has been cancelled this year. Yeah. And it's been going for how many years?
40, 50.
Yeah. I have been living here 9 years now, so I have never seen Edinburgh without the festival. And it's like the entire population of London comes to Edinburgh, because it's like Oxford Street at Christmas. Wall to wall people. So that's when it's going to be interesting. That's when it's going to be eerie quiet, when we get to like August, when we get to the summer, and there's not going to be the volume of people. Like, it is quiet, but you know, it's more like a bank holiday than 28 days later.
Right. And
which would be so cool.
Yeah. I guess it depends where you are. Have you got any new habits? Have you noticed any new habits creeping in from the different lifestyle that you're leading now, or do you? Well,
you're very lucky in that your work is like literally over the road. So you have like a 10-minute commute, bumped up to like 15 because you've changed wards. Yeah. Whereas I'm the other side of town. So previously I used to take the bus, and as soon as this started, it's like, I'm not going to go on a travelling Petri dish. No way. So I started walking, and it takes like an hour odd, and then started cycling. So that's like a major thing for me, because my main hobbies are cooking, sitting down, and lying down. So I'm not a fitness person, but I've started cycling to work, and it's something I would really, really love to carry on with, because every day I get a little bit further up that horribly steep hill, and it's not that I'm enjoying it, it's that I'm kind of getting more proud of myself that, you know, I'm not getting off and pushing it. And yeah, that's my new habit that I'd really like to carry on with.
So what's happening with your shop? Is your shop still open? It's still open, but it's just not that busy, or are you finding
it's crazy busy? Yeah. So it's open 7 days a week, and we've gone from having one person there at a time. So it's this kind of little shop. It's a lovely little shop.
What's the name of the
I really
shop?
want to do a video to like show everyone what it's like.
That would be amazing.
It's so cool. And normally it's one person, because you've got 2 sets of shelves and there's a unit in the middle. You do not need more than one person at a time. We went up to having 3 people there all day, and now we're kind of, it's petering off a little bit, but it's 3 people in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. So you've still got like a lot of people kicking around. So things have kind of gone threefold, because it was originally just, you know, you come in and get what you want. Now it's like the boss's dining room table is wedged in the doorway. so that we kind of do over-the-counter service. We also have click and collect, so we get emails, we get this ping every 2 minutes, and the printer's whirring away with click and collect. And there's also delivery, so it's quite intense sometimes when everything's kind of pinging at you and you've got someone who wants like a loaf of bread or something.
That's a real learning curve as well, because you've got to just change everything how you normally work, haven't you? You've got to do it quickly as well, because obviously we need the food quicker than ever.
Because we're like a little place, we're really, really lucky in that click and collect, like you came in and helped, didn't you? Though it just took a few of us in the front of the house doing stuff, a couple of people in the back, and in an afternoon the click and collect was set up. It was just done. And while it took like a couple of weeks to get all the pictures and get it like finished, it was done in a few hours of like, right, we can do this. And because it is a small shop, you know, if we need more apples one day, that's fine, because we order everything the night before. Big supermarkets can't change like that. We have never run out of fruit and vegetables, which, like, for me, as someone who loves to cook, it is so, I can't go near a supermarket anymore because it's so stressful to not have stuff there. So having access to fresh fruit and vegetables every day without fail is just amazing. It just makes me feel so much better.
I go to Tesco. Well, we're trying to go once a week, obviously, to not go as much as possible. But I'm finding that they never have tofu. They have certain vegan foods, like the processed foods, like the burgers and the sausages, but they don't have tofu. And I'm really craving tofu at the moment. I'm craving protein, actually. I don't normally, but it's not that I'm not cooking protein. I'm trying to cook foods with protein, but it's nuts and tofu that I'm craving the most at the moment.
Yeah, that I went into panic mode just before lockdown and went to the Chinese supermarket and bought the big pack of tofu. It's still sitting in the freezer.
See, I should have done that, shouldn't I?
Yeah, but that's because I was expecting to have this kind of cut off, but because we haven't at work, we do still get tofu in like twice a week, and we're ordering like as much as we possibly can fit in the fridges. No one's going to see if it's neat or not. Just shove it in. It'll be fine. So we never kind of run out of these things. So I couldn't live without tofu. I love tofu.
Yeah, I'm the same. And I have it in so many things. Buddha bowls is my thing at the moment. But we noticed you haven't posted for about a month. Is that because of the lockdown or It's
purely because I have not had the time. Because of my commute now, like wake up, don't even have a cup of tea, like wake up as like close to leaving the house as possible, jump on my bike, go to work, bike it home again, eat, go to sleep.
Yeah. And what about your job, Leo, as well? Is that something that you'd want to feature in your channel? I guess it's quite a stressful time at work, isn't it? You don't really want to have that on top of
that. Yes and no. It's this weird thing of, if people have asked me questions previously about it, I've been happy to talk about it. I am more reticent talking about it now because some people either the last thing they want to hear is someone else talking about what's going on at the moment, or it will be the flip side and they'll go, right, you can tell me all about it. And it's like, no, I can't. And it's one of these weird things that nursing is incredibly rewarding. There are days when it is stressful, there are days that it is difficult, there are days that it physically puts you through the ringer, days that emotionally puts you through the ringer. Sometimes it's a combination of all, but there's always something that happens in the course of the day that just reminds you, this is why I do this. And yeah, it's one of these things that I came to later on in life, and my only regret is that I wish I'd done this years ago, straight out of school. But at the same time, I'm painfully aware that if I'd gone into this straight from school, I would have landed on a ward, and they would have said, right, we need you too. And I'm like, would have been, I'm sorry, you want me to what? Whereas because I approached it later on in life, I took to it and I really enjoy it. But it's one of these things that I feel a bit weird talking about on the internet, because I guess I have to be.
You have to be quite careful.
Yeah, I have to. Obviously, I have to respect patient confidentiality. So I am deliberately vague about if anything in particular that's happened that I either have found has been really nice or really sort of upsetting. I can't really talk about it because I don't want anything identifiable. The nicest thing that happened, which I mentioned to you, was my charge nurse has reached out to colleagues and their associated family, and basically they've then spread the word, and a lot of school children have sent in get well cards and posters. Oh, wow. So it means that we're able to give get well cards to the patients because there's not really visitors in the ward because they're trying to minimize things as much as possible. So it means that they're getting some contact with the outside world, and some of the cards have just been a delight. One from an 8-year-old, I believe, called Katrina, who said that she hoped you were getting better. She can sympathise being in your situation because she's home and bored. And I know that you'll be bored too, but I hope you get better. All the best, Katrina, bracket, aged 8, close bracket. And you're like,
yeah,
perfect. And it's,
I guess that kind of sums it up, that you have to be careful when it comes to doing it on like the internet, because confidentiality, it's more kind of like a local thing that you can kind of share, so it doesn't quite work with. I just kind of roped Leo into this, really.
I just think
I don't mind that.
I think it's brilliant because it's such a tough time for so many people, but I think people are really appreciating the NHS, particularly now, more than they did before. And I think even if you did so beforehand, I think this is the reality of it, is that people like you are putting themselves out there and working so hard to just save lives and make people better. And I think it's amazing what you do.
But it's what we do every other day of the year. But
absolutely.
It is nice and it is lovely, and it is one of those things that there's been a couple of things through your work. One of the people who provide brownies, they had donations from their customers and basically sent a case of brownies to you, which I took into work, which then got demolished. I mean, I don't think it lasted the day. There was a lot of brownies as well.
As I said, that was an exhausting cycle home because that was a heavy box of brownies. Like, these things, it's Herbivore Kitchen, which if you haven't checked them out, it's like gluten-free, like made with a lot of chocolate. You could kill someone with a single brownie. They're like heavy things. So having an entire box was like, oh god, this is heavy. Like really
it's
heavy.
Worth it though, isn't it?
Oh,
it's
totally,
worth all
yeah.
the hassle of getting them home.
But yeah, it's weird. It's wee things like that that when you're not expecting it, that you're another local coffee maker, the Source Coffee. I had just started drinking one of theirs at work, and I got a message from the guy who runs it, and he was like, "Yeah, I see that you're working. Do you work in a hospital?" And he was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Right, well, I've got to get you some coffee, and some coffee for your work." And it was okay, thank you. You don't have to. He said, no. And
the support up here has been amazing. I get that's another reason why, I don't know, I feel like less anxious and stressed about it, because there is such a community spirit in Edinburgh. Because while we are a city, we're a small city.
Yeah.
So there is like such a community spirit amongst like the small businesses and the indie businesses, like the coffee roasters and the brownie people and all of this. Like even there's another one, Edinburgh Fermentarium. They were delivering jars of kimchi to the hospitals. for the nurses. Kimchi for nurses.
Wow. That's brilliant.
That would be a thing.
Yeah, so that's all been really, really heartwarming.
Yeah. And this is the thing that's been nice, is that you're seeing a lot of what's nice in people, what's good in people.
The best in the human spirit, isn't it?
Hearing about people volunteering to get things for people. It's the, you can't go out. What do you need? Right, I'll go get that. And it's...
it, in a way, it has brought out the best in people. And I mean, like, we would never be having this conversation otherwise, because we'd be like, we'll catch you next time we're down in London. Like, things like this are great. Like, well, it's not great that it's a pandemic and all of this is happening. So much positivity is coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that people are kind of almost changing their lifestyles to get in touch with each other more, because you know, the whole online thing, I can't imagine what it'd be like without the internet. It would just be so much more difficult, wouldn't it? It's great that we're able to do this. So tell us about your veganism, because you've been running the channel, is it 4 years? I think it's just
something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Does it feel like 4 years? Does it feel like, I mean, ours is, I think, 2.5 years. But
it feels like not that long, but it also feels like we've never not been vegan. Yeah, it's that weird thing, because like the whole reason behind the name of A Year of Vegan Eats was that you were a dedicated steak eater, and I was going to go vegan until the end of the year, not even a year, the end of the year, to shut up a friend of mine who is like this militant vegan who would just not let it go. I was like, fine, to shut you up, I will do this. But it was also the year that we got married, so we used it as an excuse to go to like Le Gavroche, Rue at Parliament Square. We went to the waterside. We did some like big Michelin star restaurants, which, to sum it up, the first course at Le Gavroche was a cheese souffle cooked in double cream. Okay. Rich, heavy food. And it's like, okay, I'll do it to shut you up, but also I feel like I do with like the health benefits of cutting back on all this stuff until the end of the year. And then it's not a happy story, I want you to know. And then a couple of months into it, you went vegetarian.
Yeah.
Because we went to a talk by Michael Mosley on how not to die, or how not to get cancer.
Yeah.
Happy. And that converted you.
Yeah. He's the guy who's on Trust Me, I'm a Doctor.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
we're both a big fan of him.
Yeah.
Because he does like weird. Your favourite thing is, I'm going to show you how shock works on the body by jumping into this pool of freezing water. Awesome. So as you can see, I'm shaking and it's really, really cold. Like, okay, cool. So you went vegetarian.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately our cat died.
Oh.
Hence, this isn't a happy story. And it was just that sudden connection of, how can I be utterly destroyed by the fact that my cat has just died in my arms, but not connect that to what I'm eating? So for me in that moment, it was like, no, I can't go back. This is like a forever thing for me now.
Yeah, it's a positive coming out of a negative as well, isn't it?
Totally, because it was just like the whole thing of like, it was a moment of enlightenment of, wow, how can I like see the suffering in her, but not like boof.
So that was your connection then, because a lot of people don't necessarily have that. They have other reasons, but it's good that you did connect to that, even though obviously the outcome wasn't great.
Yeah, totally. But it also makes, while it wasn't a like happy or a like light reason, it makes life incredibly easy, because every time I'm like, oh, I really fancy scrambled egg, or like she pops up in my head, and it's like, no, I'm doing this for her as well as for me. It's like, no, I can't do this. So that was me done. And then you were already like used to reading labels, because I was like cooking the last of the vegetarian stuff out of the fridge, because you know, whatever we had, like we didn't have anything else, it was all vegetarian. You were having the vegetarian things like corn, and I would have like something else. And then you were like, oh, right, I'm gonna go vegan, but after we've done our trip to Paris, because we were going to go to Paris, and you were going to eat your own body weight in cheese and butter, and that was
on baguettes, not just cheese and butter,
just like one in each hand.
It's like the New Year's Eve thing, isn't it? Everyone always gets the Christmas dinner out of the way, and then they start in January.
Yeah, totally. That was going to be your blowout, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was. But the thing is that because at this point I was already part vegan, because once we'd cleared out everything that we had, I wasn't saying no. I want my scrambled eggs in the morning or what. No, I mean, whatever you made, I would eat. And like you said, I was already in the habit of going into the supermarkets and going, you can have this. And so we had a vegan Christmas dinner. And it was only afterwards, on the sofa, collapsed, having eaten a very, very, very lovely Christmas dinner.
I'm hungry now.
Sorry. And I was stuffing my face with chocolate, and I looked at the ingredients, and it had milk in it or something like that. And it was the realization
Mint
of
matchmakers.
Oh, okay.
And it was the realization of, if I'd not had this, I would have had a vegan Christmas. And if I can be vegan on Christmas Day, why can't I be vegan the rest of the year?
Well, what a great way to transition into it, though, with a vegan Christmas dinner. That's just perfect, isn't it? Because that's almost the same thing, isn't it? I mean, taste-wise, you can't get any better than that, I don't think.
Okay. But you were still like, I'm going to go vegan with the proviso that when we go to France, I might crumble and have cheese. And it's like, we've never been like super militant and strict. Like, if someone is vegan except for the occasional piece of cheese, I have no issue with that, because you're doing a lot better than if you just gave up completely.
Yeah, saving more animals because of that.
Yeah. So while I wouldn't have done it, if that was your thing, that you were like, right, I'm going to do it, we're going to go to Paris, and then that's me for the rest of my life, cool, whatever. You didn't even do that.
Yeah.
We found this vegan cheese place, and we were both perfectly happy just stuffing our faces with that instead.
So was this when you started the channel? You went vegan when you started the YouTube channel?
It was slightly after this. So originally there was 4 of us that went vegan at the same time, all thanks to the same person. And we had a little channel called Vegan Noobs, because there was 4 of us and we all started at the same time, and we had like a podcast, and we did that for about 6 months, I think, and then we all kind of went our separate ways. So you've got myself, who, like, I was all about the food side of things, obviously.
Yeah.
Love the food. There's Barry, he's much more about activism. Big activist in Dundee. He runs the Dundee Vegan Festival. He does Food Not Bombs. He does like film screenings. He does amazing activism in Dundee. And then we've got Karis and Jared, who moved to Australia, and they were a lot about like animal conservation. So it was really interesting that you had like a group of us that came together, and we all had our different elements, and we kind of supported each other and grew together. And they were like, right, we know what our little corner of veganism is, and we all went and did our own thing, and it's been really cool.
Yeah, it's your niche. So are you interested in the activism side, and do you go on marches, and do you take part in events and stuff?
Not hugely. Like, it's not that we're not interested.
Yeah.
Up until recently, I used to work every weekend, and because of that, you used to try and work every weekend. So going and doing marches and things are always on weekends.
Right.
So it would put, now things are changing. I would love to get involved with things now. I have like when we have the time.
Well, I was just going to say, there's only so much time in the day, isn't there? You can't do everything. But I think it's good that you have a niche. You have your interests, and I think there are so many different types of vegan as well. You don't always get the vegans that are activists, and you don't always get the vegans that are necessarily interested in food that much either.
Yeah.
No.
My activism is kill them with kindness and cake.
Yes. I'm going to live by that.
I'm going to convert you with cake.
Don't need converting. I don't need converting. Let's talk about some of these recipes, because you've got some amazing recipes on your channel. You've got chestnut soup, Thai spice hot pot, which really stuck out in my mind as well, even though I'm not that mad on spicy food. Vegan scones.
Yes.
Or scones, depending on how you pronounce it.
Went through a massive scone phase. I had so many.
Have you got a favourite of what you've done? A favourite recipe, a go-to meal?
Funny enough, we were talking about this earlier. We had like one of my friends who she was a regular when I worked at the ice cream shop and has now become a really, really good friend of ours. She desperately wants me to do a cookbook.
Yes, do it.
So, but it's like I do such a weird range of things. Like at the moment I'm in the middle of a curry kick. Then there was the scone kick of like I'm going to make everything into a scone. Like how
scone,
do you?
There you go.
Like how do you pick a direction? So that is my problem. It depends on the day, on the week, on whatever.
But maybe that's good though, because I think it's good to be a little bit random, because I mean a lot of lives are random, aren't they? You don't always want to have the same recipe every night. You want to just mix it up a bit.
Exactly. I am terrible at following recipes and just throwing stuff in a pan. So I can never pick a favourite. Like at the moment, it would definitely be a curry because curry kick.
Yeah, I got the feeling that you were into the spicy food.
That's one thing that changed when we went vegan. Like I did not like spicy food in the slightest. I did not like chili. Anything with chili in it, would not touch it. But my taste has changed now, so I can like taste the difference between like, oh, that's a jalapeno, and oh, that's a habanero, and I can taste the difference between them. So I'm now enjoying like spicy food a lot more. But even with things like curry in the hot pot, if you're not into chili, you can do it without the heat, but still have those like intense flavors in it.
I was just
which
thinking,
is what I love.
Yeah, because I love spicy food, but my body doesn't like it because I react to it.
I'm like that with wheat now. Like I love wheat, my body doesn't like it.
I loved your was it citrus kraut that you did the recipe for sauerkraut with lemon?
That came out so well.
It's amazing. And I love all the utensils. That's what I love watching you on YouTube, because there's so many utensils that I want that I don't have. And Jeremy always goes mad because, oh no, we're not going to get more because it's just going to clutter up the space because we've got a tiny kitchen. I'm not allowed to buy stuff. But you've got, was it a temper that you used, like a wooden hammer?
Yeah, it's just it's like a cocktail one for like muddling. Yeah. Because it's like, why would I pay like 20 quid for like a specialist sauerkraut masher when I can get one for like a couple of quid, because it's the same thing. And it's like me trying to like ram my hand in a jar.
I've never seen it. I've never seen a sauerkraut with lemon in before.
Oh, this was inspired by, funny enough, a London company, the London Fermentarium, I want to say. I'm sure they have like a like citrusy. Oh, there's a dog.
Yeah.
Do not apologise.
They have like a citrusy type one. They also have like an umami sea kraut, which has got like seaweed in it. Wow. And we also had a pineapple and turmeric kraut when we were last in London.
That sounds amazing.
That was inspired by them, and what I had in the cupboard.
I love it. I love how you make the most of it, don't you? Because I'm not that creative. I've got stuff that's pushed at the back of the cupboard, but I don't always know what to do with it. So it's good that you've got that mind.
Let me know. Like, send me a message. Be like, I found this random thing. What do I do with it? I'm like, oh.
So do you both like the same kind of foods, or do you cook meals together? I suppose with your jobs it's different, isn't it? You've got different.
Well, funnily enough, I was going to say that we have two completely different approaches to cooking. I'm very much a recipe-based person. I'm very much and I follow the running down. And the thing which is, I will go, right, I want to make this, but I don't have ingredients X, Y, and Z. I can't make it. Whereas you look at in the fridge, freezer, cupboards and go, right, we've got the following, I can make this work. Yeah. Whereas
you get too stressed over it.
Yeah. But the thing is that I do enjoy cooking. I've recently started, like you say, to get myself a lot more wound up and stressed by it, but I'm trying to work through that. But no, we do enjoy.
So think, right, you make. If I give you one thing to make, you can execute. Like the Wicked Healthy cheese sauce, Leo makes an incredible one of those.
Oh, wow.
Leo makes chapatis, all of the breads and things. You are amazing at. Give me half an hour, I will make you like 5-dish Indian buffet, and Leo will do the bread. Because if you have to do more than one thing at a time, you get so stressed out about it.
Yep, I cannot multitask. I am a man. Yeah. I cannot multitask for coffee.
I can't.
Whereas I will happily. Like, a friend of ours came round for dinner, and she was just stood in the kitchen doorway, like, you throw hot things around like they're nothing. I'm like, yeah, like this, that, and that. So yeah, we are very, very different. But you have the patience to make such detailed, intricate things. Like Leo can make an opera cake, which I don't know if you've ever seen one. It's like thin layers of cake and jam and cake and ganache and cake and drizzle and all these things.
I knew it was a really bad idea doing a Skype call with you just before lunch, and I hadn't eaten. Well, actually, it's lunchtime now, and I still haven't eaten.
If you want cake, I can bake you a slab of cake. Like, give me like 45 minutes, you will have cake. You make the very pretty, intricate, beautiful things. You have more patience than I do.
Amazing. So do you watch a lot of cookery channels? Because I guess if you're a YouTuber, you don't... I mean, I try and watch as much as I can, but you don't always get the time because you're always either filming or editing or doing thumbnails or doing artwork or doing social media. It's just, exhausting just thinking about it. What do you watch? Which channels?
Hang on, the TV is actually on behind you, so let me go. Oh, Bon Appetit. Not vegan, but love Bon Appetit.
But presumably they do vegan recipes, though.
They do, or it's very easily kind of changed.
Okay, so
but
do you adapt those, the recipes that you see? You think, I can veganize those.
Totally. Yeah. Things like beef recipe, I would always swap beef for mushrooms. Chicken recipe, you could do like white mushrooms, or tofu. Works really well. Lamb, I was never a fan of to begin with, but something like aubergine would be like a good substitute in that. What else? Fish, heart of palm if it's cold, or banana blossom if it's hot.
Wow.
So I just kind of have okay, this is a fish dish. I'm going to watch this, but I would use X instead.
Banana blossom. I saw somebody posting about that the other day in a tin, and I've never seen it I'm going to the wrong shops, obviously, but it was only about 2 years ago that I discovered jackfruit, and I'd never even used that before, and now it's just such a common food, isn't it? Everybody knows it. Yeah.
Try banana blossom. It's a longer version of jackfruit. So, jackfruit tends to be this kind of shape, and it has the root and then the kind of...
Yeah, it's a bit like pineapple, isn't it?
Yeah. So with a banana blossom, like, it's held together here, and then you've got these long bits. So you can shred it. Like, it's really nice. Instead of like jackfish, having banana blossom, because it shreds like fish.
Nice. So you would stock that in your shop. What's your shop called, by the way?
Easter Greens.
Easter Greens in Edinburgh.
Easter Greens. Yep, Easter Greens on Easter Road in Edinburgh.
Ah, there we go. So if anybody's watching this that is either in Edinburgh, they'll probably know it anyway, but if they're travelling, when they can eventually travel. Because this is a really tough time for you, especially because the industries that you're supporting are restaurants and travel. So
I know, right?
You can't really
That's why we've been so quiet.
Yeah. But you can obviously still do your recipe videos.
Yeah, totally. I do have a plan to do a video tomorrow, just because Leo's at work and I've got a day off, so it's kind of a bit of breathing space to do some stuff. Yeah. So I've pretty much decided I'm going to do stuffed tomato curry.
Nice. Oh, I do love a curry. I don't eat a lot of curry, but I get cravings for it occasionally.
But this one's a really nice one because, again, you can kind of add whatever spice you want. But this was inspired by a phone call with a friend, which, again, like, we wouldn't have had this phone call if it wasn't for this whole situation. And and she was saying, because she's wheat-free, onion-free, garlic-free. She has like a lot of issues dietary. And she was like, oh, this restaurant doesn't deliver anymore. And I'm really sad because they had my favourite curry, which was stuffed tomatoes. So we were talking on this and like on the laptop, like, right, what was it? What did it have in it? What did it say? And we kind of made this kind of made up version. And it was, you get your tomatoes and you scoop out the middle. And it was a mixture of coconut, Brazil nut, because we don't have any peanuts at the moment, spices, like ground together with some dried apricots just for that bit of sweetness. So sometimes I'd put tamarind in it, but it's like, I've got apricots. Or dates, whatever I've got. Blend it up and stuff it into the tomatoes. Now, it's quite dry when it goes in. But by the time you've like baked the tomatoes and then finished them off in the sauce, it turns into this kind of creamy paste. And they were amazing. Like, so good. So I'm going to make that tomorrow on video.
My stomach is proper rumbling now. I'm going to hold you accountable.
Oh, sorry.
I love how you think ahead, though, because you do a lot of meal prep videos as well, which are brilliant if you can do it. I mean, because I try and do them, and I don't really have the boxes. Again, I'm not allowed to buy the boxes because they clutter up the kitchen. Tupperware.
Jars.
We were talking about that before, weren't we? Because I can't remember what they're called. The jars that you use that have got the logo.
I've got the Kilner jars. But to be honest, I'm a little bit obsessed, and I collect any jar, any shape, any size. Love a jar.
They're so useful, though, aren't they?
They are, but you can meal prep in jars. Like if you're doing things like a soup or like soup especially, if you put it in a jar, that's like the perfect portion size.
And soup is such a good meal at the moment because it goes a long way, doesn't it?
And you can throw whatever you've got hiding in the back of the fridge in it.
So what would be your go-to lunch, breakfast and dinner? If you can think of one meal for those times of the day, what would they be?
I'll go for breakfast because I'm more of a breakfast person than you. My standard breakfast at work is porridge oats.
Yeah.
With chopped up dates in them.
That's so Scottish.
I am with you on that. I can't get enough porridge. We have it literally every morning. We do every day. It's just
and
best.
Because I can't remember the last time I had porridge made properly in a saucepan. It's always microwaved at work.
To be fair, after cycling to work recently, I've been having porridge at work, but it's like the super fine kids one as opposed to the chunky one.
Like ready
bread. It cooks quick. Yeah. I've had it with banana and maple syrup.
Yeah.
That surprises me. I thought you would have it like salted, like a savoury porridge, because that's the traditional. That's the Scottish porridge, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah, but
am I a bit old-fashioned?
Traditional Scottish is like poured into a drawer and cut into a square.
Okay, like flapjacks.
Yeah, seriously, it was. Yeah. That's what they would do. It would be made, and like you say, you would then just cut off a chunk.
Yeah.
And take it with you.
Though the idea of like, see, I'm more of like a next day pizza kind of breakfast person. I don't really do breakfast. I do like 11 o'clock, some kind of, like today, our breakfast was at 11:30-ish, and it was leftover congee because I made congee for dinner.
What's that?
It's a rice porridge. It's porridge.
Ah.
So you get your rice and you overcook it into mush, and it is like a porridge. And we had it with some pumpkin cut into it.
Wow.
And it was topped with these little tofu pouches you get at the Chinese supermarket. Yeah. It had like one of those, some cavolo nero, some spring onion, and I made some kind of spicy kraut as opposed to like full on kimchi. It was like a spicy kraut, and that was in it with some sesame oil and some soy sauce.
That sounds really tasty. And that
was like
that
leftovers.
Sounds like similar to what I bought the other week. It's like a gluten-free rice porridge but dried. So you just obviously just use it like porridge oats, but it was rice.
Yeah. So you can use it like porridge, or it's totally a traditional thing. Hang on, I have a cookbook.
It's so good. We used it as a dessert as well.
Where is it? But it's like a traditional breakfast in Asia. I've got to admit, the first couple of times I had it, I thought it was bland and really, really rubbish. Because I had it in Thailand. The first night I was in Thailand, I had congee, and I was chucking chili and all kinds of things in it to try and. There we go. This is like a cookbook. That's what congee looks like.
Oh wow!
It's just like a rice porridge.
Amazing. Yeah, that sounds really good. I mean, I would never cook a breakfast like that. It's a bit too. Oh no, actually, I probably maybe not first thing in the morning. I'm not a morning person.
But like 11 o'clock,
so,
yeah.
Such extremes to cook food.
Yeah.
Just piss toast.
Yeah.
Or porridge. That's why I love porridge.
Both of them work.
Yeah.
Well, what would your lunch be? You like soup at work, don't you?
Yeah.
You like liquid things.
But again, I guess it's the reasoning for soup is it gets made in bulk. I can then have, and if I enjoy something, I don't mind having the same thing several days on the trot.
Yeah, I'm like
because I work long days, because I start at 7 in the morning, finish at 7:30 in the evening. So the thing is that I only work 3 days, so having the same lunch for 3 days on the trot isn't a big deal. It's not an issue. It's not that, oh God, I'm having this again. It's like, I'm having something that I like. This is something that will keep. It's something that's easily heated. If heaven forbid something happens and it's I've not had my lunch, I can just reheat it and it's not going to affect it. So it's a combination of convenience, ease, and it's something really tasty because you make really nice soups.
Soup is such a good go-to, isn't it? Because it's relatively easy to make as well. Because not everybody is a dab hand in the kitchen.
But that's the thing with soup.
No.
You put anything in soup. You really, really can. That's one of the things that, because we get a lot of dented veg at work, I bring it home and try and do whatever the hell I'm going to do with it. A lot of people take it home and just make soup because it's really quick and easy and you don't have to worry about it too much.
So what would your lunch be, Ivy, your go-to?
My lunch at the moment, which I've really been enjoying because this whole curry kick, is I made dal, and I had curry spiced roasted parsnips on top.
That sounds really good as well.
Because again, unlike you, I get bored with food really quickly. Like, between cooking something and it being finished, I can be over it and not want to eat it.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Because sometimes when you cook for yourself, especially if you're just cooking for you on your own, it can be, by the time you've got to it, by the time you've finished it, you don't want to eat it.
No, I'm just going to plug you in. There we go. So I get bored of food really, really quickly. But the idea with dal that I really like is that if you make a really simple, basic one, so you've just got your lentils, onion, garlic, salt, pepper, and turmeric. One day you could be like, right, I'm going to have, I don't know, say I brought home a broccoli and I'll roast it with some coriander seed, and you put that on top.
Roasted
and that's
one
thing.
The best, isn't it? It just takes on a new flavour. It goes nutty.
Hard broccoli.
Yeah, it's delicious.
You can have that on day one. On day two, you could have your curry roasted parsnips, and that brings you like a completely different element because you've got like the sweetness of the parsnips, you've got the curry powder on them. Day three, you really like beetroot, so you could do like cumin roasted beetroot. So you've got 3 very different dishes that are kind of based on the same bowl of kind of liquid, really.
I always forget about curry powder. Just recently, I started putting it in like a tahini sauce for Buddha bowls, and it again amazing. But I always forget curry powder.
Yeah.
Just adds.
You can get some really nice ones as well. Like, we've got a Madras one that is really, really nice. Yeah. Curry powder.
Excellent. So what about dinner?
Yeah.
Do you switch it up so you have lighter dinners and bigger lunches? Because Leo, if you're at work, you want something that's going to get you through the day, don't you? So do your lunches tend to be bigger, or?
Not really. The thing is the weird thing with me now is that because again there's a slight change in routine, I'm now getting home a bit later. I'm not getting in until 8 or so. So I think that on days that I'm working, it does tend to be slightly lighter because it is later on that we're having dinner.
But also, like, I don't know about you, but recently, because it's been so busy, it's right. Go, 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 go. Don't have time. Throw food in face. Go, go, go. And then we can finally sit down and have something for dinner.
Yeah.
Like, unless we get pizza in the shop, which we've done quite a lot recently.
Yeah. Pizzas, the best ones I think of vegan pizzas. One Planet Pizza are really good.
I've heard really good things about them.
I
really need.
It's like a doughy base as well. You know, some people like the thin crust.
Yeah.
I actually quite like the really doughy bases, and they're like those, like the old school pizzas.
We really need to sort that. Funny enough, a customer came in yesterday and was saying that they got a box of them and they were amazing.
Yeah, they're really good. Well worth checking out.
Yeah, this is just like Papa John's delivered that we've been getting.
Okay, yeah, we did that a few weeks ago. I can't remember whether I liked it or not. Yeah, I keep getting their texts. I had to opt out.
Yeah, it's hot. It's quick. It's filling. Yeah.
However,
what would your dinner be though? I'm interested to know this. Because you just tend to eat whatever I throw at you. So, what would your ideal dinner be?
Whatever you put in front of me, because. But no, but this is the thing is that.
Well, recently it was your birthday.
Yeah.
It was your birthday last week.
Oh, happy birthday belatedly.
Thank you.
And as always, it's like, right, what do you want? I will take the time. Like, it won't be a 20-minute throwing together, whatever. I will take the time and cook you whatever you want. What do you want? And you went for bourguignon.
Yep.
Which, interestingly, was like the first recipe I did on Vegan Noobs, and it was a mushroom and chestnut bourguignon.
Ooh. Do you know, I haven't had that for years as well. I mean, I don't even think I remember having it, because I've been a veggie since, well, obviously vegan now, but a veggie since I was a kid. And But I love that taste. It's like red wine, isn't it, that you use in the sauce?
Yeah. So, funny enough, it's your mum loves the recipe as well, and they make it quite a lot whenever we go around. But we didn't have. No, we did have mushrooms, but we also had a load of beetroot that needed using up. So I ended up doing a beetroot bourguignon with like big chunks of beetroot and carrot, and
nice.
Yeah.
That sounds really hearty.
You're a big fan of that. With like big roast potatoes.
Oh, roast tatties. Oh.
Yeah. To be honest, it is one of the things that I think it's that if I can have anything that I want, a roast, which is weird because I wasn't a huge roast fan before you moved up, because a roast is more of a southern thing than a Scottish thing.
Yeah. Like Leo didn't understand Yorkshire puddings.
Okay. Yeah, I've always thought they're a bit, meh.
What?
Can't be bothered.
No. See, I'm from like the south, like really, really south, until we hit water, like Brighton.
Oh, is that where you're from? You're from?
Yeah, okay. From down there. Yeah. What we used to do is get one of the giant Yorkshire puddings, put your dinner in it, fill it with gravy. Like, you didn't understand gravy really either.
No.
Fill it with gravy, eat your dinner, and then you've got an edible plate.
See,
it's like.
Whereas, see, on the one hand, you guys had that. On the other hand, we have macaroni pies.
True.
Which is obviously not vegan, but is...
You can get, you used to be able to get vegan versions, but they're taking a break at the moment. I know. It's just.
But basically, it is macaroni cheese in pie crust, like Scotch pies.
Quite calorific.
So, and the way which I would always sell it to people when they say a macaroni pie, that sounds disgusting. It's like, no, you're a busy person on the go. You want some macaroni cheese, but you can't. But here, in handy portable pie form, so you can just go.
It's like a deep fried Mars bar, isn't it? In effect.
Yeah.
Deep fried Mars bars are also amazing.
I never had one.
Your friends were amazed that I did not have a deep fat fryer plumbed in.
But also, I don't think Leo should be able to keep his Scottish card, because you have never had a deep fried Mars bar.
Nope.
And you don't do deep fried pizza either.
No, it's too greasy.
Deep fried pizza. It's your culinary heritage.
I'm so hungry at the moment. I'd probably just eat anything. Obviously not animals, but yeah.
Oh, definitely. Like, come up to Scotland when you can and try a deep fried pizza.
We must sort that out. It's been so good to chat to you. Eventually, we got there.
Yes, it has. It's been lovely to speak to you.
And you too. Where can people find you, by the way? You've got a Patreon account, haven't you?
We do, yes. It's Patreon, however you say it, / A Year of Vegan Eats. We also have A Year of Vegan Eats Instagram, which has been quite quiet recently. I'm Umeko_Chan on Instagram, and you are Kitchen Anarchist or Coffee Aficionado, or what else have you got?
Kitchen Anarchist, I love that.
Kitchen Anarchist?
Yeah, because I'm rubbish in the kitchen.
That came out from a podcast with Vegan Noobs. You claimed it while we were in the middle of a podcast. What else? We've got our YouTube. Yeah. That's about it. Oh, and Facebook.
Brilliant. We'll stick all the details down. It's such a good channel. I recommend it to everybody.
Thank you.
Especially if you're into the travel side, because you do actually vlog when you're traveling too, don't you? When you're going to other countries.
Yeah. We've done some interesting, like the last one would have been Kathmandu, I think would have been the big one, where we're kind of sitting out baking in the sun doing a Q&A in between meditation sessions. That was interesting.
Making a lot of people very jealous.
But also trying to upload videos at like sillier times in the morning when no one else is on the internet.
With dodgy Wi-Fi, and some hasn't got very good Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good to chat to you. Thank you so much for coming on to talk to us live, because this is such a tester for me, because this is the first kind of guest interview one that I've done. So
thank you for having us. This has been really cool.
See you soon. Take care. Look after yourself.
You too.
And
you, everyone, for watching as well.
Yes, thank you.
See you soon, guys.
Take care. Bye.